Spider-Man was directed by Sam Raimi, and it stars Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And this movie came out May 2002, and I must have been about 3 years old at the time. So let's talk about it. In this movie, Peter Parker is a senior and a nerd in high school. He gets picked on a lot, he gets bullied a lot, and him and his classmates are going on this field trip. It's going on a field trip to some kind of laboratory. And Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and he lives with his Uncle Ben and Aunt May. And he wakes up one morning and found out that he's ripped. He has muscles and abs, and he's all like, oh yeah, oh wow, look at that. And then he becomes Spider-Man. And Norman Osborn in this movie is about to lose his company called Oscorp. And then when that happens, he becomes the Green Goblin, and Spider-Man must fight him. And now we got our movie. Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was a movie that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. I haven't seen this movie for years. Oh my God. Do you know how long it's been? This movie came out in 2002. I think I must have been about 3 years old when I was a little kid. I grew up with this Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, whenever I watch him like over and over again, I was like, dude, this brings back so much nostalgia. So I was really looking forward to rewatching this movie again. It's because I haven't seen this movie for years. I remember back when I was a little kid. I had this movie on DVD when I was a little kid, and I would just watch this movie over and over and over again. And I don't remember if I played the Spider-Man game. I believe it was PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, I can't remember. But that video game, it has so much nostalgia. Brings back so much nostalgia, and it looks really cool. But, I grew up with Spider-Man as a kid, and I still love Spider-Man as an adult, because I do got Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures over there. Now, with this Spider-Man, I know it's been years since I've seen this Spider-Man, but I'm not the only one who hasn't seen the Spider-Man movie for years. Some people who grew up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man hasn't seen this movie for a while, or rewatched the movie and be like, oh my God, this brings back as a kid. This brings back so much nostalgia. This brings back so many good memories. And this does bring back so many good memories. This does bring back so many good memories as well. And I think my father once told my father once told me that he took me to see the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 1, and I was like, dude, I don't remember you taking me to see this movie. I remember you took me to see Spider-Man 2, 3, The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and Spider-Man Homecoming with Tom Holland. I remember you took me to see those movies. So, now I'm watching this, and now since I couldn't figure out what a movie to review, I was like, you know what? I was like, no, I'm gonna watch Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I watched it last night, and now I'm reviewing it. And this movie was freaking awesome. This is a good movie. This is the best movie. But there'll be some stuff that I like and some things I might not like about the film. But let's talk about the actors and the characters. Let's start off with Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. This guy, whenever I was like, man, Tobey Maguire, I didn't really know who when I was a little kid, I didn't know who Tobey Maguire was, but I know he was actually in this movie. I know he played Peter Parker, but I didn't know who he was. But as an adult, I know who he is now. So with his Spider-Man, he's really good in this movie. I will talk about the costume in just a minute. With Peter Parker in this movie, like I said, 1, he's being picked on. 2, he's getting picked on in school. That's 1. Number 2, he's getting bullied. He's always getting bullied by Flash. 3, what's number 3? Oh yeah, he has a best friend named Harry, which I forgot to mention. Yeah, he has a best friend named Harry who actually protects him like a brother figure. And I believe it's number 4. I feel like he has a love interest, which is Mary Jane Watson. And that's it. And Tobey Maguire is really good as Peter Parker and Spider-Man all at the same time. Because, like I said, this guy brings back so many good memories. He brings back so much nostalgia. He brings me back as a little kid. He makes me want to go back to elementary school again. Now, I do want to talk about his costume. His costume also does the same thing. one, bring back memories. Two, brings you back as a little kid. And three, bringing so much nostalgia. That is one of the best costumes I've ever seen in my life. That's a really cool costume. Excuse me. But I think Tobey Maguire is really good in this movie. And next up is Harry Osborne, played by Harry Osborne. He's played by James Franco. He's also really good in this movie as well. But the thing is, we do spend a little bit more time with him, but there's sometimes that we don't really see him that much in the movie, I guess. But him as Harry Osborne in this movie, he feels like he feels like he wants to fall in love with Mary Jane Watson, but he's like, "Come on, Dad, this girl's important to me. You just married, and now you gotta leave or something. I don't know." But James Franco really kills it as Harry Osborne in this movie, and I think he does a really good job here. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, that he's also a protector. He feels like a brother and a protector to Peter Parker. You know, they're best friends. And I don't know if James Franco and Tobey Maguire were both best friends in real life as well. I don't know about that, but I think that's it for James Franco. And next up is Mary Jane Watson. Mary Jane Watson, played by Kirsten Dunst. I really like her Mary Jane in this movie. But sometimes she does have some cheesy scenes in this movie, but there's some scenes that she caught up with. There's some scenes that she almost fall back behind or something. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say far back behind. Like, there's some things that she can feel cheesy at sometimes. Like, sometimes she speaks a little bit quietly, but there's some things that I'm just like, you gotta speak up a little bit. But then she does speak up in some scenes, and I'm like, okay, that's good. So, and yeah, in this movie, she is a best friend to both Peter and Harry, but there's no love in. But lucky, there's no love interest. Well, there's some love interest scenes. There's a love interest, I think there are a couple of love interest scenes in this movie that lucky there's no love triangle of Mary Jane Watson between Peter and Harry Osborne, which that's a good sign though. But Mary Jane Watson's really good in this movie, and I'm sorry, Kirsten Dunst is really good in this movie. My bad. And next up is Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn in this movie, and let me tell you, Norman Osborn, played by William Dafoe, is really good in this movie, and he's evil. He has a dark, evil voice. He's like we do see an evil version of Norman Osborn in the mirror, which he becomes the Green Goblin. And we do see Norman Osborn looking at the mirror uh-oh. And he in that evil Norman Osborn like, yeah, I got you now, Norman Osborn. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. And it's not. And Norman Osborn in this movie is about to lose Oscorp. When that happens, he becomes the evil villain of this movie, and that is the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin is he's evil. He throws pumpkin bombs. Yeah, he has a glider, which is he's actually a really good villain in this movie. But the thing is, when I saw that costume, when I looked at that costume, I'm just like, first of all, it looks like he's wearing a suit of an evil Power Ranger, like an evil Power Ranger suit. But I was like, okay. But in Spider-Man, when he was in Spider-Man No Way Home, I was just like, okay. When he was in Spider-Man No Way Home, I was just like, well, he's probably gonna wear the same costume. I know a lot of people before Spider-Man No Way Home came out, a lot of people, including myself, were expecting for an upgrade. We were expecting for an upgrade for a Green Goblin. We were expecting a CGI version of the Green Goblin or something, but that didn't happen. He's still wearing the same costume. Because when I watched the trailer for Spider-Man, the second trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, I was just like, yeah, he's still wearing the same costume that he worn back in 2002. But I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, it is what it is. But I think, but William Dafoe's really good in this movie, including in Spider-Man No Way Home. And next up, who else do we got? Next up is is Uncle Ben and Aunt May. They're both good in this movie. Cliff Robinson, my favorite line, one of my favorite lines in this movie brings back as a little kid, and that is, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's how Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. And Aunt May, she is in the movie, but sometimes we don't really see her in but I forgot the actress's name. But the actress who plays Aunt May, she's really good, but sometimes she's not really in the movie too much. But there's some scenes that we do spend more time with her, but there's some scenes that she's not in the movie too much. With Cliff Robinson as Uncle Ben, I think we only see him for probably at least a couple of times, and that's it. And that's it. But I think Aunt May and Uncle Ben are really cool, are really good in this movie. And last but not least is my favorite James Jonah Jameson in this movie, and that is J.K. Simmons. Spider-Man, he's a criminal, that's what he is. He's a vigilante, a public menace. What's he doing on my front page? Oh my God, like J.K. Simmons as Jonah Jameson or Mr. Jameson is really good in this movie because he's the boss. In my opinion, he is more of the boss of the Daily Bugle, and yeah, but because oh my God, J.K. Simmons is really he makes a really good James Jonah Jameson in this movie, and his acting is really, really good as well. And everyone else is also, their acting is good, but there's some acting at sometimes could be like okay, good, bad sometimes in this movie. But J.K. Simmons makes a really good James Jonah Jameson, and also he's in charge to tell Peter Parker to take photos of Spider-Man, and he starts paying Peter, and that's it. And I think that's it for the actors and the characters. And I hope I'm not missing anybody. No, I'm not missing anyone. I guess that's it. So I guess I think this movie was really, really good, and also the action scenes are really cool. The action sequences are great. My favorite action scene would be between. I like the festival scene. Where Spider-Man and Green Goblin have a little bit of a throwdown at the festival in New York City. And I think that was one of the best action scenes in the movie. And the final battle is also great. I love that final battle. The final battle looks awesome. I love the final battle between Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. I mean, we do see him probably at least fight for probably at least 4 or 5 times during the movie. I mean, at some time, but there's some really good action sequences. And what else I really like about this movie is the story and sometimes the story at sometimes does make a lot of, sometimes makes makes perfect sense. I think Sam Raimi actually read the comics, be like, you know what, I have an idea. Let's make this live action. This live action movie, wow, is awesome. And the story at sometimes there's some acts I like and some acts I didn't like about this movie, but the cinematography, whenever I see Spider-Man like swing around New York City, that is some really good cinematography. And that music score, oh my God, that music score probably like played by, I think the music score came from, I believe it was Danny Elfman. That music score, wow, I love that music score because I felt like a kid again because of that music score. Because it's not just because of the music score, it's everything in this movie felt like I become a kid again because it has so much nostalgia. It has some really, in the opening scene also looks really cool. We do see a couple of webs. We do see a couple of things, a really cool opening sequence in the movie, and I think that's really cool. And this Spider-Man movie is by far one of the best Spider-Man movies I ever seen in my life. But I think the Spider-Man movie looks cool, and I think, is that about it? Yeah, I think that's about it for this movie review for Spider-Man, and I think that's about it, and I think that's it. There's nothing much to say about it right now, and I think that's about it for Spider-Man. So be sure to like, subscribe, press the notification button, follow me on Instagram, comment down below, and I'll see you on my next video, and thank you for watching.